We ought to be working on promoting our deer herds, our turkey flock. We should be promoting fishing, you know, walleye capital, all the other waterways, you know, all this stuff. We're not doing. I was in Sandusky, and I went to the back porch of this restaurant, and I took a picture of what I saw, and I sent it to my wife, and I said, "Sweetie, where am I?" It was Vermilion, I think, is where I was. We just don't promote our state right.
Michigan does that well.
Yeah,
From a resource. Actually.
Yeah, I think they probably do.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the numbers. See, I think we also ought to be a more metric-driven state. Don't tell me how good you are in practice. How many passes did you complete? How many yards did you gain? You know, it's like the universities will tell you, yeah, we're commercializing, and I think some are making an effort. How many companies did you spin off, and how many of them are profitable? Don't tell me about how hard you're trying. Hard is not the key. Success is the key. I feel like I'm getting very dangerously close to the edge of kind of sounding like a know-it-all, and I don't want to do that. This is stuff that I've thought about and studied and looked at. But sir, back to what you asked. We just got to get to qualified people. You know what I'm saying? We can't have political, you know, I got some friend out here who's a state senator. I put him in the Department of Administrative Services. I can't do that. I can't put hacks in there, because if I got hacks in there, he's going to be hammering me.
Okay.
Of course, that won't be anything new.
So how do you attract those kind of people, though? Because before we were talking about, well, public officials being overpaid.
Yeah.
Okay. At top levels of government, you can't really compete with private industry for the best and the brightest minds.
Well, I'll tell you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to their offices, and I'm going to say, you know what I did? You know what I've been through for the last year and a half? Did you build a house for Habitat for Humanity? Okay, you didn't? I got your house for you. You just got to call people. It's amazing how you can get people to do things if you call the better instincts of them. I've had a lot of business people. I'll tell you, just yesterday, I was with down in Dayton, and there was a guy who had worked at NCR. He now works at Teradata. He went through this big long list of why we lost NCR, and he told us about, you know, what the impediments are in Ohio. And I looked at him. I said, "Can I sign you up? Do I have to pay you any money?" You know. I think there are a lot of people that would be I think there'll be I am told that there will be enough people that if I call them, we'll get it done. But they're not going to be people that, you know, who need money. So but they got to be savvy too. I mean, I tell you, I know we're on the record, but I'm going off the record here. Lee Johnson was a guy at the Limited. He went over to run the Department of Development, and it was a disaster. Because the political types just waited him out. If you don't have somebody that can understand both things, then I think you have a little bit of a problem. But hacks don't get it done, because the problem with hacks are, then they're political all the time.
Do you anticipate Mary Taylor heading the cabinet position?
Oh yeah, she'll have some cabinet role, and she's going to have a big role. She's an auditor. Mary is I'll tell you what happened with Mary. Mary asked for a meeting with me. She was not coming to talk to me about Lieutenant Governor. She said, "I really would just like to come and spend some time with you." She came to my house and she started talking to me, and I was blown away. I always knew she was smart, but she really blew me away in terms of what she knew, how tough she was. She'll have a big role. We talk about it all the time. You know, what is it you think you'd want to do, Mary? I see her as kind of a rover across all of government, you know, because we've got to hold everybody accountable. There's a lot to do here, which is exactly why I'm going to demand a recount when we win on election night. Okay? If that doesn't work out, I guess we'll have to get... But, you know, these are a lot of big hopes, and I think maybe, you know, we just got to get it. We got to think big. We got to act big, and we got to start putting things in place.
When you think big, how are you going to carry out the details of that big thinking? Because you've talked a lot about big ideas. Who's going to implement it, and who's going to be your follow-through person to get these things done?
Well, I'm not a widget maker. I'm not a dial turner. I'm not Jimmy Carter, okay? I've had people around me and I've not had discussions with them yet about what they're going to do. It'd be premature. For example, my head guy on policy has moved to Columbus from Washington. He ran the budget committee for me for several years, and before that he was the head of policy. We will have people like him, and some people who have already had service in the government. Now you might say, well, if they've already had service in the government and things didn't work, why would you bring them back? I asked that same question, and I'm beginning to find that a lot of them were like, John, we couldn't really ever do our job, and we think maybe this is the time when we could actually do something. I believe in a second chance for people. So I'm never going to be a big widget turner, but the way I operate is I say to somebody, please go, and here's my goal, go and do this, and then they come back. And usually we go back and forth, and then ultimately they come back, and I sign off on the details, and I look at all the details and decide whether it fits right, whether it works right, you know. But most important is to design the house, not figure out, well, what's the thermostat? How do I move that on to 70? I don't think that's the issue. And it's never been a problem for me in my career, whether it was...
Must not have been, given the budget success you had. Because
well, you have to have really
detail-oriented job.
See, I like very smart people. And the smarter the people that are around, the more I like them, unless they are dysfunctional. You know, they don't know how to work, or you know, work with other people. But it's smart people. Look, we prepared. I'm in here talking. I don't have a note. I mean, I don't know how long we've even been here. This is staff where we work and study and go over and think about this stuff. I don't just pull this out of the air or out of some book somewhere. You just got to build it. It's all about team. And the great thing is, if you have a great team, we all know what the result is. You have great results. So that's the key. And we're loyal to one another, and we move together. And sometimes we fight, don't we, Rob? Sometimes we fight.
We are at the end of our time, but just real quickly, easy question for you maybe. Do you plan to pursue putting slot machines on horse racing tracks if you're elected?
Oh, I'm glad you asked an easy one here. I'm the first person that I know of to run for governor to say I don't know what I want to do on gambling, and I'll tell you why. I worry about our towns, our communities. Is this good for us? Now, we already have gambling. The way we've done it so far is patchwork, and the state's not getting its share. So I think probably all of us here, maybe not all of us, but a number of us here have mixed emotions about gambling. I got to just think about it and I'm not even, I'm not like a gambler, it's not like I'm against gambling. I don't, people want to gamble, I don't care, but we need to just think about the consequences, and we need to think about the opportunities. And if we do it, we need to do it in a way that is not patchwork, where we can fend off those people that want to kind of one-off us, and the state should do the regulating, and we ought to get the bulk of the proceeds. We'll see. Thanks for that last easy question.
I got a tough one.
Only if it's easy.
I was just reading that you have a pretty significant lead in the polls right now, 9 points, but one poll indicated not too long ago you were 17 points ahead. Why do you think Strickland has closed the gap so much 28 days out?
Did you believe a 17-point lead?
Well, I'm just asking.
No, I mean, I didn't believe it. We laughed about it when it came out. Look, I mean, you have every single element of the Democratic Party in the state. I'm told that there's been more money spent against me than any candidate in America. We've had presidents, vice presidents, every political operative and hack in the Democratic Party in here trying to defeat this campaign. And so there's no surprise that it would tighten. I mean, of course it would tighten, but the public polls are, it's not easy to ignore them, to be honest with you. It's not easy. But if you don't ignore them, it's at your own peril. Go do your job. We have internal polling, and we're comfortable with where we are. But I think it's hardly to say, let's just assume that poll was right. And I'm not telling you it is or it isn't. I haven't even really looked at it. If I'm ahead 9 points with 28 days to go, is the story the lead was cut in half, or is the story Kasich's up by 9 with 28 days to go? You got to figure that one out. We feel like we're in good shape, but look, politics is, you know, in a lot of things in your world, you look at what are we going to do with the paper? We got a problem, so you put a plan in place, and maybe in 3 quarters you begin to see the benefit. In politics, what's true today is different in 24 hours. That's what makes it so interesting. And that's why I ask myself a lot, why the hell did I go back into this? You know, the other thing is, if we get through this and I'm lucky enough to win, we have to make an effort to, just not for politics or anything else, but we have to make an effort to get out to see you. We just have to do that. And we will develop in these regions where you live. We will get smart people and work with your communities to figure out what we do. We have to do it, because I'd like to tell you about a commercial we have in the can about something, but I can't, because I just can't tell you. But I really tell you, I have enjoyed, I've been in all 88 counties. We have a map I'm looking around for. I've been in all 88 counties. I've had great visits to all of your communities. I was in Zanesville last night. I was in Cambridge. Wasn't I just in Cambridge here like a week ago?
Yeah.
I don't even remember everywhere I've been.
Yeah,
But I've been in a lot of the small towns, and I love them. And they cannot be ignored, because the people there are dependent on us. And you know, it's where the good values are. So you will see me again.
Ohio's a good state.
It is. Thank you.